Hey there, I'm Richard Brandt, Monos Historian, and you're watching Stream It Now. TubiTV has 89 new movies for you today. Why so many? Well, part of it is TubiTV's revolving door policy. Some of these are titles you've seen come and go on TubiTV before. In fact, some of them were announced as leaving TubiTV just days ago. Another reason is a big batch of movies that TubiTV is sharing now with Shout Factory TV. Not a bad thing, since as we all know, Shout Factory TV last updated their streaming app a year ago, and in fact that app is currently streaming nothing at all. But to be fair, some of these are just brand new movies for TubiTV, including lots of Hollywood classics and at least one movie I haven't even heard of before. Not even me, Richard Brandt, Monos Historian. So, to get on with it, be sure and catch Louis Koo in Accident, Yul Brynner in Adios Sabata, Jenna Rollins in Woody Allen's Another Woman, Burt Lancaster in Apache, Kiefer Sutherland in Article 99, Val Kilmer and Mira Sorvino in At First Sight, Jack Palance in Robert Aldrich's gritty war drama Attack, the shark thriller Bait, Battle Creek Brawl, a pretty good Jackie Chan film with a superb musical score by this year's Governor's Award recipient Lalo Schifrin, Toby Keith and a surprisingly strong supporting cast in Beer for My Horses, a very young Nicole Kidman in Brian Trenchard-Smith's BMX Bandits, Mel Gibson and Anthony Hopkins in The Bounty, the self-explanatory Brazilian Western, Aishwarya Rai in Bride and Prejudice, George Segal in the World War II drama The Bridge at Remagen, Michael J. Fox in Bright Lights, Big City, Will Arnett and Will Forte are the Brothers Solomon, Bushido Man, to fight your opponent you must first eat his food. You really wish the movie would live up to that description. Audrey Hepburn and Shirley MacLaine in William Wyler's remake of Lillian Hellman's The Children's Hour. Gong Li and Jeremy Irons in Chinese Box, City of Men, the sequel to City of God, Mark Lester's Class of 1984, Conquest, Lucio Fulci's sword and sorcery epic starring Jorge Rivero, Roman Coppola's CQ, Steve Irwin in Crocodile Hunter Collision Course, James Garner and Sidney Poitier in Duel at Diablo, Werner Herzog's Even Dwarfs Started Small, Jackie Chan again in Fantasy Mission Force, Annabelle Gurwich's documentary Fired, Charles Bronson and Frank Gilroy's quirky western From Noon Till 3, the Gamera double feature of Gamera vs. Chaos and Gamera vs. Zigra, Ian McKellen in Gods and Monsters, Jason Lee, Julia Stiles, and Selma Blair in A Guy Thing, Ethan Hawke and Michael Almireda's Hamlet with bonus Bill Murray as Polonius, Hot Boys with Master P, Snoop Dogg, and Gary Busey, Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee in Robert Bloch's The House That Dripped Blood, Keenan Ivory Wayans' blaxploitation parody I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, Al Gore's Oscar winner An Inconvenient Truth, Frank Whaley's Joe the King, Kenny Rogers' The Gambler 3, The Legend Continues, Part 1, Ed Harris and George Romero's Night Riders, also starring Tom Savini, the sequel La Cage aux Folles 2, the Leprechaun sequels number 4, Lost in Space, number 5, In the Hood, and number 6, Back in the Hood, and the totally unrelated Leprechaun Origins, which doesn't even have a proper leprechaun in it if you ask me. Gil Bellows and Renee Zellweger in Love in a 45. Charlie Sheen again with his brother Emilio Estevez in Men at Work. Leslie Nielsen in Men with Brooms. Kenneth Branagh's Much Ado About Nothing. Charlie Sheen again in Navy SEALs. Catherine Mary Stewart and Robert Beltran in Night of the Comet. Paz de la Huerta in Nurse. First rule, never leave the boat in Open Water 2, Adrift. William H. Macy in Panic. Brendan Fraser and Paul Walker had an all-star cast in the comedy Pawn Shop Chronicles. Ben Stiller in Permanent Midnight, based on the memoirs of writer Jerry Stahl, although it makes the most oblique reference possible to him having worked on Cafe Flesh. Also, there's more. Joe Dante's classic Piranha and the remake filmed almost 20 years later for Showtime's Roger Corman Presents. More Jackie Chan in Police Story 2. Mickey Rourke, Eric Roberts, and an Oscar-nominated turn by Geraldine Page in The Pope of Greenwich Village. Billy Wilder's The Private Life of Sherlock Holmes. Woody Allen's The Purple Rose of Cairo, the animated sci-fi feature Renaissance. The sort of sequel Road Trip Beer Pong. Rugrats in Paris, the movie. Sean Connery and Michelle Pfeiffer in The Russia House. The Saw sequels, Saw 2 through 5. Marlon Brando and Oscar winner Red Buttons in Sayonara. Christopher Atkins in the obscure horror film Shakma. The Crazy Corman Hybrids, Sharktopus vs. Whale Wolf. Tom Arnold in the parody Shriek If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th. Stockard Channing, Donald Sutherland, and Will Smith in 6 Degrees of Separation. Carolyn Monroe, Marjo Gortner, David Hasselhoff, and Christopher Plummer as the Emperor of the Universe in Luigi Cozzi's nutty sci-fi classic Star Crash. Melissa Leo's youthful indiscretion, Street Walkin'. Jenna Dewan as Tamara. Ethan Hawke, Robert Sean Leonard, and Uma Thurman in Tape. Burt Lancaster and Gary Cooper in Veracruz. Kirk Douglas and Tony Curtis in Richard Fleischer's The Vikings. The Water Horse. Robert Mitchum, Kirk Douglas, and Richard Widmark in The Way West. Martin Lawrence and Danny DeVito in What's the Worst That Could Happen? The time-traveling martial arts fantasy Wu Chi, and Agnes Bruckner, Patricia Clarkson, and Bruce Campbell in the girls' school horror film The Woods.